A 10,000 rupees travel voucher, a full refund for your cancelled flight ticket, and a compensation of 5 to 10,000 rupees. That is what IndiGo is giving its affected passengers. Lakhs of them who were stranded at different airports across the country over the last 10 days. Stranded passengers, angry, frustrated, hopeless, as India's largest airline plunged into chaos. 4,000 plus flights were cancelled and passengers had nowhere to go. Now, IndiGo says their operations are nearing normalcy. Some cancellations are being reported at airports, but not of the kind we saw on the 3rd, 4th and 5th of December, where thousands of flights were cancelled. IndiGo says they've rebooted their systems and are in the process of rectifying all that it has to ensure such a crisis isn't repeated. Meanwhile, along with their reputation, IndiGo's stock prices have also taken a huge beating. The airline stock fell as much as 3.15% today. Shares of the company have fallen 19% so far in December alone, and 45,000 crore of investor money has been wiped out. The Modi government has also started a crackdown on IndiGo in recent days, and with that, the focus has now shifted to what happens next. In this video, let's take a look at all the key recent developments in the IndiGo chaos. Hello and welcome, I'm Shubham Chauhan. Let's get started. So IndiGo today announced another decision in its series of damage control measures. It announced an additional 10,000 rupees travel vouchers to passengers who were severely impacted due to the cancellation of flights between 3rd and 5th December. In a statement, the crisis hit airline said these vouchers will be valid for any future IndiGo flights for the next 1 year. Notably, their statement doesn't specify what severely impacted means or how it would identify these passengers. After all, everybody was impacted. Someone missed a funeral, someone missed their own wedding, and so on and so forth. So the definition of a severely impacted passenger hasn't been given yet. Nevertheless, India's largest airline also said that this voucher was in addition to the compensation as per the rules, which require airlines to pay 5,000 to 10,000 rupees to customers whose flights were cancelled within 24 hours of departure. IndiGo said that all necessary refunds for cancelled flights have been initiated and most of them have already been reflected in customers' accounts. The airline said it has initiated refunds for those who booked through travel partner platforms as well, like Make My Trip, for instance. Several social media users, many of whom were impacted because of the crisis, said this is not enough and that the losses they had to bear, both financial and otherwise, was much more than these vouchers that IndiGo is now giving. In a separate statement, IndiGo also said that its flight network was almost back to normal. They said they are back to connecting all 138 destinations in its network and restoring the OTP, the on-time performance, to industry-leading standards. In terms of figures, IndiGo is expecting to operate more than 1,950 flights today, serving approximately 3 lakh passengers. The airline says over the past 3 days, operations have stabilized with no same-day cancellations except for a few due to factors like weather, technical issues, or other uncontrollable factors. Like I said in the introduction, IndiGo flights are still being cancelled in some parts, but not at the scale which we saw earlier. Reports say 60 flights were cancelled in Bengaluru today, including 32 arrivals and 28 departures. In Ahmedabad too, 18 flights were cancelled today. So that's 9 arrivals and 9 departures. On last count, IndiGo is believed to have processed 827 crore rupees as refund to passengers. Just refund. If you look at overall compensation, that figure will surely go up as their damage control measures begin to kick in and are rolled out over the days and weeks to follow. Meanwhile, another top IndiGo executive has broken his silence on the crisis. Their chairman, Vikram Singh Mehta, put out a video statement last night. He apologized to the passengers, of course, and then he went on to say that there was some fair criticism of the airline and some was unfair. The fair criticism, in Mehta's words, was that the airline has let its passengers and stakeholders down. The unfair criticism, he says, was the intention of the airline, or questioning or doubting the intention of the airline. Mehta denied allegations that this crisis was engineered and that IndiGo tried to influence government rules. He has rejected all these allegations. According to him, the crisis was because of a combination of internal and unanticipated external events. Listen in to what the IndiGo chairman had to say.
However, there are some allegations that are untrue. That IndiGo engineered the crisis, that we tried to influence government rules, that we compromised safety, that the board was not involved. These claims are incorrect. IndiGo has followed the pilot fatigue rules as they came into effect. We operated under the new rules throughout, both in July and in November. We did not attempt to bypass them, nor did we do anything that negatively impacted our unblemished track record of safety. The disruptions of last week did not happen because of any deliberate action. They happened because a combination of internal and unanticipated external events, including minor technical glitches, schedule changes linked to the start of the winter, adverse weather conditions, increased congestion in the aviation system, and implementation of and operation under the updated crew rostering rules. This is not an excuse. This is simply the truth. Clearly, this combination of events pushed our systems beyond their limits.
So the IndiGo chairman says that they followed the FDTL rules and did not attempt to bypass them in any way. Now, FDTL, just for context, are the flight duty time limitation rules that the Modi government had rolled out 2 years back, the second phase of which was implemented or kicked in starting the 1st of November. In a nutshell, these rules mandated more rest time for pilots, like you can see in that graphic on the screen. It mandates more rest time and rationalization of their flying duties, especially the late night flights, just so that pilot fatigue is managed and there's no safety risk for the passengers. That is the whole aim and objective of the FDTL. Now, the primary reason IndiGo plunged into chaos was because they couldn't comply with these rules. They couldn't set their rosters in a manner where their flights would be affected. Meaning, the new rules effectively required airlines to either have more pilots to maintain their current schedule or curtail their schedules in line with the new requirements, because of course the rest time of the pilots have now gone up. IndiGo, which has taken pride in being this lean and mean machine, couldn't adjust their pilots roster properly, and hence you saw these series of cancellations. The chairman seems to be denying those charges that they tried to arm twist the government. But what can't be overlooked is that this was the same airline, IndiGo, that at the peak of flight cancellations managed to indeed arm twist the government and get exemptions from the FDTL rules. Now, there's no proper explanation on that. The IndiGo management seems to be shifting the blame for these cancellations to a range of factors and not just the FDTL. Now, the Modi government on its part continues to maintain that it was all IndiGo's fault. Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu has said this in as many words. He repeated the statement today at a media conclave, saying gross mismanagement by IndiGo was the root cause of these massive disruptions. He said the crisis was a result of gross management by IndiGo only. There were some issues with their internal crew rostering system, which could have been avoided in compliance with the new norms under the FDTL guidelines, which unfortunately did not happen. This is the reason why we saw the domino effect of flight cancellations on December 3rd and 4th. Naidu added that his ministry held a key meeting with IndiGo on the 1st of December, just wanting to know if they had any problems or concerns regarding the new rules. Now, Naidu says IndiGo never told them about the internal trouble or raised any sort of red flag. By the time they knew, cancellations were on in full swing and lakhs of passengers were affected at airports. Speaking at Agenda Aaj Tak, which is a conclave of the India Today group, he said that the regulator, that is DGCA, is tasked with taking care of the overall functioning and affairs of the aviation sector. Naidu said the DGCA, or the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, cannot go into the nitty-gritty affairs of each airline. He says that is practically not possible. That is the airline's job to do. He said that a government-appointed committee report is awaited, and following that, action will be taken and those guilty will be punished. Naidu said if push comes to shove, even the CEO of IndiGo, that is Peter Elbers, could be asked to go. Meanwhile, India's civil aviation regulator, the DGC, on Wednesday stationed 8 officers at IndiGo's corporate office and airports. Their job is to oversee and report on the airline's flailing operations. So from crew utilization to total fleet, number of pilots, and how the airline is functioning overall, this panel will have to look into it and supervise the operations. In fact, as we speak, this team has hit the ground running and they've already reached offices of IndiGo to monitor their operations, and their CEO, Peter Elbers, is in a meeting with the Civil Aviation Ministry. That's all we have for this report. Thanks for watching.